put this over.
Right here. This is the one where, okay, you don't need one?
No, I'll call here and check.
Okay, cool.
Just make sure. Say salam.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's good.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ومن يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ثم أما بعد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد في سورة الأنبياء أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقترب للناس حسابهم وفي غفلة معرضون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum, respected brothers and sisters, youngsters and elders. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds. And we send peace and blessings upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I wanted to share a reminder with all of you guys, including myself first and foremost. But me, myself, just by myself, I can't really I'm not capable, nor do I have the intelligence needed to do that alone. So I couldn't think of any better way than to actually turn back to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to turn to the words that He revealed, to turn to the words that the scholars for centuries have used, and the words that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said. And I thought for a long time which surah, which verses, what to go over. And eventually I found this one, and it's actually very, very profound. So the ayah itself, in words, it may be short. In the actual amount of words, it may be short. However, the meaning was actually very, very heavy and very, very weighty. It was heavy in weight, especially for those who actually understand the Arabic language, who may have studied the Arabic language, or have studied some tafsir. You may understand where I'm coming from. Because a lot of us, we kind of just read the Quran really quickly, and a verse that's shorter, like this one, we really don't even look twice at. But for those few who actually spent time with the Quran, realize just how heavy it is. And I wanted to just share a little bit of what I found out searching through some tafsir about this one verse, and how it relates to us today. So just bear with me for a couple minutes as I kind of go through the verse with you guys, and I kind of break down and dismantle and kind of tell you what it means and what the structure means. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off this surah with the word iqtaraba. Iqtaraba comes from the root qaraba, obviously, which many of us that speak Arabic, that speak Urdu, that speak Farsi, Persian will recognize, because that's the root that the word qareeb comes from. Qareeb means close. And that's the same in Urdu for the people from the subcontinent, as well as in Arabic. But there is a concept in Arabic grammar and Arabic linguistics that, I'll say it in Arabic first, it's بِزِيَادَةُ الْحُرُوفِ يَزِيدُ الْمَعْنَى. Basically that means that when there is a certain word that is on a framework, that's on a wazn, that's on a verb pattern, that has more letters in it, then the meaning in extension is also increased. That there's an increase in the meaning, it's weighed heavier. So for example, in this scenario, the word is iqtaraba. The root is qaraba, which means close, qareeb. But on this specific verb pattern, ifti'al, it's slightly changed so that it means even closer, extremely close. Okay? And that's important here. Qaraba is close, iqtaraba means closer, extremely close, more than qareeb. So what's iqtaraba? What is extremely close? What's extremely close by? Then Allah says linnas. Linnas, obviously for mankind. The lam here, there are different opinions why that lam is there. The major opinion is that it's lam ta'lil, meaning it's used for emphasis. So linnas means for the people, but because of this specific lam, it emphasizes that this is specifically for the people. But we still don't know what it's talking about. So let's keep going. اقترب للناس حساب. Hisab, again, for people that speak Urdu, Farsi, Persian, we think, okay, cool, hisab karna, to do some level of accounting, kind of balance the checkbook, see how much cash you're making, make sure you're not in the red zone, that kind of scenario. However, traditionally, in Arabic, it means it's a little bit more than that. It's a full blown out accounting, and something to really put into perspective in today's world. It's like an audit. There's accounting where we kind of make sure that everything's in the green, we're doing well, we're making more than we're spending, kind of general. But then there's a full blown out audit, where some bodies, some representation, such as the IRS or someone, looks into every single detail of your accounts. Every single receipt is checked. Every single transaction is looked at. Every report is scrutinized under a microscope. It's like that. That's similar to what we call, to an audit today, where everything is looked at. And we know this from another surah, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ, where every single thing in Adam's weight of good and evil will be seen that day. Right? So it's a full blown out audit. Every single thing that we have done, every single thing that we put forth, will be scrutinized, will be looked at, will be recorded and shown to us. And one of the interesting things, so if we put it all together, اقترب للناس حسابهم. I'm going to get to the hum in a minute. And I apologize, I don't mean to make this a tafsir lesson, but please bear with me for a minute as we continue this, because I'm going to mention in the second portion why this is important to us. اقترب is in the past tense. So in Arabic we have past and present tense, present/future tense. There's only two tenses. اقترب is in the past tense. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is trying to say that the hisab, meaning the day of judgment, the day where we do hisab, is coming closer, right? However, in English, we would say coming closer. But here in Arabic, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the past tense, meaning it's already there. It has already been close. If we say that someone's coming to our house or someone's coming by, that means they're coming. But if someone's already there, they've been there for a while, it has even more of an emphasis. That this hisab, it's already there. It's already close. It's right there already. Not that it's going to get close in the future, it's been there. And remember, it's not qaraba, it's not the normal verb tense. It's iqtaraba, meaning it's extremely close, even closer. And we know that, and this is backed up in the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that the distance between them, he held up two fingers. It's like that. But what am I trying to get with this? Where am I trying to go with this? This is where the hum comes into play here. Hum is a dhamir, it's a pronoun. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring it back to nas. So meaning the hisab for all of mankind is extremely close, or has been extremely close. Now this hum indicates that Allah is not taking possession. He's not taking ownership. Meaning that it's nas, linnas, all of humanity that needs to do this hisab. And if we think about it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't need to do all of this. He's al-alim. He already knows what we did, what we're going to do, what we plan to do, what we're doing, all of the above. So this complex model of having angels writing down our every deed, having our books presented to us on Yawm al-Qiyamah, having scales presented and our deeds weighed, this intricate and complex model is not something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala absolutely needed. This was a system put in place so that we, as humanity, we receive justice, and those that were wrong, they also see in front of them that this is what they did wrong. So this is the first portion of the verse in and of itself. And as you can tell, it took me quite a few minutes, 5-6 minutes, just to give a very brief explanation. Very, very brief. There's a lot more detail that I don't want to get into right now. But in the second portion of the first verse, it gets a little bit deeper. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَهُمْ. And here, wa in the Arabic, the wow, the letter wow, in the Arabic language, it usually means and. It's like a conjugation. But actually, in this scenario, it's not that case. It's not a conjugation. Right? If you tell your son or your daughter, oh, go to the market, pick this up for me, and you say a bunch of things. Uridu laban, uridu dajaj, whatever, and you put the wow in between. That means and. But in this case, it doesn't mean that. In this case, this wow is called wow halia. It's used for describing the hal, the situation. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَهُمْ. Hum is referring back to linnas, mankind. وَهُمْ fi ghafla. Now, the word fi, again, these are very, very small words, but they have a very heavy meaning if we pay attention. The word fi is in a group of letters called harf of jar. And it means to be in something. To be completely inside something. So for example, If you were to say, Aina ummuk, where's your mother? You're talking to your son, Aina ummuk, where's your mother? And he says, Ummi fil bayt, she's in the house. Obviously that means she's in the house. Her body is not dangling outside. She's completely inside the compounds of your home. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَهُمْ فِي غَفْلَةٍ. That these people that he's referring to in the beginning of the ayah, they're completely in ghafla. And now I want you to understand this, because if you're in the water, you're not completely in the water. But if you're actually submerged in it, you're completely in it, that's a more realistic image. So here Allah is saying, وَهُمْ فِي غَفْلَةٍ. They're completely drowning in it, they're completely engulfed in it, and submerged in it. And what's ghafla? We all kind of sort of know what it is, but what is it really? Heedlessness, right? That's kind of a definition we all use. But here's the part, here's the next part. مُعْرِضُونَ. So if we're drowning somewhere and someone throws us a lifeline, we take it. If we're engulfed somewhere and we need a way out, we can all agree ghafla is not a good thing to be in. So if you're engulfed entirely in a situation, in a state that you don't want to be in, such as drowning, and someone throws you a lifeline, we'll take it, hands down, without thinking, reflex, right? But here comes the khabar of the sentence. مُعْرِضُونَ. Mu'ridun comes from the root word, I believe, arada. I don't remember the root word right now actually, but the asal letters are arada, which means to turn away. But the pattern Allah uses here, the form He uses here, is ism fa'il. And just to explain what that is to you guys really quickly, it's the person that does whatever the root is. So for example, a person that bakes is a baker. A person that teaches is a teacher. Right? Same concept. So in Urdu we add wala, right? Sabzi wala. The person that sells vegetables is that wala, right? Same concept. In Arabic, we call that pattern, we call that conjugation ism fa'il. So here Allah is using ism fa'il, mu'ridun. That these are the people that actually turn their backs. The root means to turn away, to turn your back. And since we add the ism fa'il, they're the ones that are turning their backs. So let's go back to the scenario, because this is where it all comes together now. That these people, وَهُمْ فِي غَفْلَةٍ, that they're entirely in this state, entirely in this situation. What situation? Ghafla, not a good place to be in. Heedlessness, unawareness, and they're entirely inside of it. They're drowning in it, they're engulfed in it, they are submerged in it. And despite throwing a lifeline, despite giving them guidance, despite sending the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what are they doing? They're the ones in trouble, they're the ones that need the lifeline, but they're the doers that are turning away themselves. They are the mu'ridun. So although they're drowning, and I'm using this example because it's easy for us to understand. So we're drowning, someone's throwing us a lifeboat, someone's trying to help us out, the lifeguard's coming with that long pole, and we're actually physically turning away. Telling them, no, we're good. Although you and I know that we're not good. We're in ghafla, we're completely engulfed in it, we're submerged in it, and we're refusing the help, and not just refusing the help, we're completely turning away and rejecting it. And doing that, Allah tells us what? اِخْتَرَبَ لِلنَّاسِ حِسَابُهُمْ, that this hisab, this full blown out auditing, this full blown out reckoning of every single thing that we put forward is not coming closer, it's already close. And how close? Extremely close. And who's it for? Linnas, for the people. What people? The people who are drowning in ghafla and they're turning away. So it's actually a very, very powerful verse if we actually sit down and think about it. And inshallah, in the second portion of the khutbah, I'm going to explain how that relates to us, why did I talk about it, and how we can benefit from it. Because, one of the themes in this surah, especially in the first portion of Surah Al-Anbiya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is consoling the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That he's in Makkah, he's having difficulty with the Makkans, particularly the Quraysh. And Allah sends down verses to console him. And actually in the second portion of the surah, he gives many examples of the prophets before him to tell him you're not alone. So what some of the mufassirin said, that this linnas in this first verse is actually referring to the Quraysh. But some other mufassirun say, no. There's no mistake in the Quran. If Allah wanted to refer to the Quraysh only, He would, as He did in Li'ila fi Quraysh. He would refer to them only, but He said linnas. So this is a benefit, this is a lesson, this is a sabaq that we can all benefit from, because Allah is using linnas, and we can learn from it. So inshallah, in the second portion of the khutbah, I'm going to talk about a little bit of how it relates to us today, and what we can take away from it. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nasalli ala Rasulil Kareem. So in the first portion we discussed the first verse of Surah Al-Anbiya, which I had told you in the beginning that although it's short in words, it's actually very, very heavy in meaning if we actually take some time, just a few minutes, just maybe 10 or 15 minutes that we took to actually understand it. And now that we understood it, let's extract some lessons and see how it actually relates to us. And the first and foremost is that we realize is that the hisab, the accounting, is coming close. Not coming close, it's already close. How close? Extremely close. And it's there. And that, again, like I had mentioned before, it's not just some light accounting that we do. It's a full blown out audit where every single thing that we did is going to be presented to us in a book, and that book will either be given in the right hand or in the left behind your back. Right? And so in this full blown out, if you know that an audit is coming, sometimes in businesses, audits happen by surprise, right? The IRS shows up. Or if you're in the healthcare system, Medicaid shows up and wants to do an audit. It takes you by surprise, and you have to be ready. But if you already know an audit is coming, you want to make sure your books are clean. You want to make sure that you're doing everything by the book. There's no shortcuts. So in that scenario, it's just this first verse, actually not even the entire verse, just the first few words is a reminder for us that we need to be extremely careful of how we live our lives, and especially in accordance of how we treat other people, because that is something that we have to take accounting for. And that's actually it's very powerful when you think about it. Now, who did I help today? Who did I hurt today? Did my words benefit somebody today? Did my words hurt someone today? And actually, in this day and age, it really applies to us, probably even more so, because we're in the age of social media where we can make transactions over our smartphones. We can order things on Amazon with a few touches of our fingers. We can write a message on all kinds of social media, from WhatsApp to Snapchat to Twitter to Facebook, all kinds of different platforms with just a few swipes, with a few clicks, with a few touches of our fingers. So this verse probably applies even more so to us, because we're in this day and age where we interact with people every single day without even seeing them face to face. There was once upon a time scenarios where you wouldn't interact with the people you don't see, but that's actually very different now. Now we interact with the people we see and we don't see. So this verse applies to us even more so. That how are we treating people? What are we doing? What can I do to help someone? What can I do to make sure I'm not hurting someone? And this is something we see from the scholars in the past. We hear all of these crazy stories of how people used to watch how many words they spoke. And they used to try to lessen the amount of times they spoke, because they took away these lessons. Now I'm not trying to sell you guys and say don't talk. I'm just trying to tell you guys to filter what you do say and what you don't say. And the second portion of the verse talks about how these people are in extreme ghafla, and they're drowning in ghafla, and they're actually turning away. And I'm talking about linnas as if they're a third person, but it can be very possible. It can be very likely that some of these people, linnas, that are being addressed may even be in this room, may even be in our own communities, it could even be me and you. So these linnas are not that far off. And that's one of the reasons why some of the mufassirun say that it's linnas. It addresses everyone. It can be anyone out of us. And then when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling us, when He's throwing us that lifeline, when you hear the verses of the Quran being recited, when you're passing by the masjid when you're driving, and you see that lifeline being thrown at you, are you the type of person that's turning away from it, thinking you're okay, thinking you're good? Or are you the type of person that actually stops, takes the lifeline, spends a few minutes there? Because I realized, one of the things I realized personally was that I struggled a lot with my salah. I did. That's something personal for me. I struggled a lot with my salah. And then I realized salah doesn't really take a lot of your time out of the day. It's really just 5 prayers altogether, maximum maybe an hour. With khushu khuzu, an hour. Little more if you're praying your nawafil. It really doesn't take that much time out just to grab that lifeline. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the mu'adhin is saying, hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, it doesn't take a whole lot to just pop on down. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those that are guided. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help our children and our grandchildren. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who understand the Quran. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those people who benefit others and not harm others. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الميزان. Also, right before I start, I just wanted to tell you guys, if there's anyone outside in the shoe area, there's space available downstairs in the basement. It's hooked up with audio. There's a separate section for sisters and brothers. So please don't feel like you have to pray in the shoe area. There's lots of space downstairs. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وأقيم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Make sure you're standing straight, shoulder to shoulder, and don't leave any gaps. Fill the first rows first, and then the ones proceed after those. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولا نبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواسوا بالحق وتواسوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. You can take this. You got that one? Okay, cool. Good.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Just two quick announcements really quick. Our brother Sayyid Fazan Hussain is still in Hartford Hospital. Again, we request everybody to make du'as for him. May Allah give him shifa as quickly as possible. And for those that don't know, he's the son of Amir Hussain, Sayyid Amir Hussain, and he's also the nephew of Sajid Hussain, who happens to be here. If you don't know who they are, please make sure you meet the family and make du'as for them. And also, Umar Jibreel, he's a Somalian brother. He asked me to make dua for his, as the community, to make dua for his uncle, Duale Jibreel in Somalia, and his sister Fatima Jibreel in Nairobi in Kenya. So please, whenever we ask people to make duas for their family members, it takes a few seconds. Please do so. Sometimes it goes a long way to help the family, comfort them, and also if you happen to meet with them, also give them adab and comfort them. Parking is still an issue. We see people that park all over the place outside, and I know for a fact we have a lot of space. This masjid can hold at least about 350 spots that we have. So 2 Fridays from today, which will be the 19th, we will start towing. So just let this be noticed. We are giving enough notice. If you are parking in any spot, we will have a few tow trucks over here, and if your car is not there after you pray Jummah, so be